University's president is calling a first step toward removing barriers in the Greek system on campus. The school has been facing criticism ever since the student newspaper ran an article that said several sororities denied membership to black students solely based on race. It's obviously an extraordinary story. I want to bring in Nathan James. He's a junior at the University of Alabama who's been writing columns about this subject for the student-run newspaper, The Crimson White. James, thanks very much for being with us.
It is called the Crimson White.
It is called the Crimson White, yeah. So how long has this been going on? I mean, okay, so now yeah, I mean, how long is this? Is this the first year African Americans have actually been invited to join some sororities?
There has actually been one in previous years, at least that I'm aware of. Carla Ferguson in 2003 was admitted to a traditionally white sorority, and at that point in time, we all thought that was the end of segregation here on campus, and obviously it wasn't. The last that I'm aware of, and to the best of my knowledge, actually the only African American who's been accepted into a traditionally white fraternity or sorority.
And how have these sororities defended this practice? I mean, how have they justified this?
Really, the defense that's been used, I think in every case, pretty much has been that it's a private organization, and that therefore it has the right to make its own admissions decisions.
Do you have a Greek row on campus?
We do.
And so they're housed on campus?
They are housed on campus.
At a state school?
At a state school, I know.
Yeah,
That's
don't you have any lawyers down there?
Well, many times to many people.
And also, Greek life is it's an important part of campus life, correct?
Yeah, tremendously so.
Right, so not being a part of it is a significant thing. It's not like a school where it's not a big deal. I mean, it blows my mind that this is going on.
It blows my mind that nobody's done anything.
Are there all black sororities?
There are some traditionally black fraternities and sororities as well. I read somewhere that they were integrated in the 80s on that campus. Is that right?
Well, there are traditionally black fraternities and sororities, and there are also multicultural fraternities and sororities. Okay. And those tend to be pretty well integrated. Okay. You know, they're not... Actually, I shouldn't really say that because I'm not specifically aware of any demographic statistics. But those tend to be more inclusive. Those do have members from multiple racial and ethnic backgrounds. And it really has been the case that it's a stark dichotomy where you have the white fraternities and sororities and everything else.
How did this become a story this year? I mean, if this has been going on so long and nobody's really seemed to be concerned about it, how did it blow up this year?
Well, pretty much every year, the Crimson White, which is our student newspaper, again, will break a story about...
By the way, your newspaper is called the Crimson White. I just have to acknowledge that for a moment. I mean, I know it's got a long tradition and a rich history. It just, yeah, it's like...
Obviously, tradition carries a lot of weight.
Yes. But so it's sort of, people talked about it, but not until this year did it really blow up.
Well, yeah, basically. It's been talked about, it's been discussed, and it's really progressed past even the point of an open secret. It's just something that people know about. And this year, specifically, the Crimson White broke a story, and it was about two African-American girls who, by every objective measure, were fantastic candidates for the sorority system. One of them in particular, I remember reading about her. She had a 4.3 high school GPA. Her family was connected in local politics, and I think state politics as well. She volunteered, and she was beautiful and all these other things, and was rejected from every white sorority
was the
on
person
campus.
Who wrote that piece?
That was the discussion.
Was the person
that was the start of the discussion.
Was the person who wrote that piece, did they feel like they were being physically, or made to be physically uncomfortable for having exposed this?
It was a, it wasn't really, excuse me, it was very objective. It was very factual and really didn't get into any kind of feelings on the part of the person who wrote it. I'm not actually sure who wrote that. But it was very much kind of in that journalistic style where it just kind of objectively reported the facts. And
Charles, does it stun you that this is
No, it does not.
I know. I love this about you. This is one of the things I love about you that upsets you. And
it does. It really upsets me.
I just told you my parents went to segregated schools, and I'm not a foster.
At the table.
You know?
No, but my dad's from Mississippi, and I like to think. I mean, I go down there. I like to think.
There are so many pockets, and every time there's a segregated prom somewhere, and it becomes a national story, and people go like, I can't believe this is still happening. And I think that there are pockets in the South and where it's kind of historical legacy systems that keep this sort of thing going. I mean, my family is buried in a segregated cemetery to this day. There's a chain link fence that runs down the middle of the cemetery.
Wow.
To this day. If you walk there today, there it is. And that is real in parts of the South. And I think that we are slowly working through that.
I'm old enough, so when I was a freshman in college, this would have been 1964, there were still fraternities and sororities that were sanctioned on campus that had white Christian clauses. And as a freshman Jewish kid, I couldn't get into them. Now, one of them did offer me a bid. They said they were willing to go back to throw it in their national space. But the truth is, I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't as strong as that girl or that woman he was talking about, or these women that have accepted bids now. I didn't feel that comfortable in being the only Jew in the house.
We got to take a break. Nathan James, appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much, Nathan, the Crimson White.
Absolutely.
The state of California.